Welcome to the chapter 1 of the book The Science of Mind Management, written by Swamy Mukundananda. The need for mind management. We all wish to enhance the quality of our life to feel joyful and happy. We desire to think noble and sublime thoughts. We wish to do productive work that makes a difference in this world. In short, we all seek to be better human beings. An autoscript embedded within our soul inspires us to be more perfect, more godlike. Yet, not everyone achieves their cherished goals, while a few led inspired lives with noble values and find deep satisfaction in their work and relationships, the vast majority stumble along the journey of life, tripping repeatedly over anger, greed, tension, and anxiety. No matter how much they struggle, they seem to attract misery and failure. And even if they do succeed externally, their hearts stay dejected and happiness eludes them. Happiness eludes them. Why is reality so different from our dreams and aspirations? It is not money, power, fame, or an affluent upbringing that determines the quality of our life. There are many successful people who had very little of these external resources and yet they achieved happiness, productivity, and fulfillment. There are also innumerable others who had all these but still could not lift themselves from wretchedness. Where did they go wrong? The key to happiness and success. An example of an inspired individual was Helen Keller, a renowned philanthropist of the last century. She is one of the inspiration for me as well. When she was only 19 months old, imagine 19 months old, 1 year, 7 months. A severe infection made her deaf and blind. She can't see, she can't listen. Consequently, she could not learn to speak and often threw tantrums to communicate her frustration to her family. When Helen Keller was 7 years old, her parents found a special needs school and a willing teacher in Anne Sullivan. Partially blind herself, Anne first tried teaching language to little Helen by signing letters onto the child's hand. Helen did not immediately respond, but the patient teacher was determined to find a way to communicate with the young girl. One day, Anne placed Helen's hand under a water sprout with the cool water running over one hand, and Anne wrote the letters water, Water, on Helen's other hand. Suddenly, something clicked within Helen. For the first time in her life, she understood that external objects had names. She was so excited that she eagerly begged to learn more names. Be nightfall, by the nightfall of that day, she had learned the names of 30 more objects. Imagine a blind and deaf girl learned 30 objects and their names by just learning from the teacher. Helen proceeded to enthusiastically learn the science for people and things in her outside world. She picked up the Braille system for the blind. Soon she started grasping abstract ideas like the meaning of the word love. As this door opened new ways to understand the world, she devoted herself to learning all she could. She began to read classical books and books of knowledge like other students of her age. Even now, we are not able to read classical books. Imagine a blind and deaf girl reading a classical book. As a young adult, Helen became determined to join Harvard University. Although her parents and friends were not so encouraging, Helen persevered. passed the required tests and was accepted at Radcliffe College, the women's college associated with Harvard University. She graduated with academic honors despite the fact that she was deaf, she was blind, unable to speak. Helen now wanted to learn to speak like others around her. She was guided to touch the face, mouth, and throat of Anne Sullivan while her teacher was speaking, and astoundingly, Helen responded to this kinesthetic experience by producing the sounds of speech herself. Helen learned to speak well enough to give lectures that over time inspired normal deaf and blind people everywhere. In her later years, Helen became an philanthropist, a philanthropist seeking ways to fund the education of others. She lived till the ripe age of 87. From 7 years to 87 years, how much transformation she has gone through. Here are a couple of her famous quotations to savor us. When one door of happiness closes, another opens. But often we look so long at the closed door that we do not see the one which has been opened for us. Life is exciting business and most exciting when it is lived for others. When you live for yourself, you will have little life. But if you live it for others, your life will be exciting. Contrast Helen Keller with others whose whose outer circumstances were exceptionally favorable, yet they failed miserably. One such person was Elvis Presley. Elvis Presley, an icon of the rock and roll generation. He was handsome, wealthy, a movie actor, possessed a golden voice, and often called the king of rock and roll. Yet he was wretchedly unhappy and often used a round of drugs to gear up for a musical performance, followed by another round to calm him down after the performance. Elvis Presley gorged on drugs, sex, and songs that possibly thrilled his fans more than him. Though externally he was so successful, yet internally he was nearly bankrupt. He died prematurely at the age of 42. Imagine Helen Keller lived 87, whereas the rich, wealthy movie actor died prematurely at the age of 42 with heart complications, other serious health problems, and a long time addictions to drugs. The singer once lamented, "Truth is like the sun. You can shut it out for a while, but it ain't going away." How different were these two luminaries? What did Helen Keller have that enabled her to succeed beyond imagination despite possessing only three of normal five human senses? She can't listen, she can't see, she can't talk, but still she became wonderful philanthropist by living 87 years. And what did Elvis Presley not have that he failed so miserably in his personal life, although he lacked neither wealth, fame, nor talent? He has everything. The key difference lay in the state of their mind. Let us move on to the next concept, the mind, our best friend and our worst enemy. Our mind is the single most important factor that determines the quality of our life. Successfully controlled, it becomes our best friend, best ally. But if allowed to run wild, it steals our inner peace and undermines all our productive endeavors. The Vedic scriptures inform us Uddared Atmanatmanam Natmanam Avasadhayet Atmaiva Hyatmano Bandhur Atmaiva Ripuratmanaha, said by Lord Krishna, Bhagavad Gita, 6th chapter, 5th verse. Uddared Atmanatmanam. Elevate yourself through the power of your mind. Natmanam avasadhyet and not degrade yourself. Atmaiva hyatmano bandhur. For the mind can be the greatest assistant of the self. Atmaiva ripuratmanaha. And also its vilest, worst enemy. So this is the meaning of that shloka. What is this mind? Generally, think of yourself. What is this mind? It is a subtle machine. Mind is a subtle machine fitted within us by the God. While the body is external machinery, the mind is the internal machinery, internal one. Its function is to generate thoughts and it profusely engages in this activity throughout the waking state. It continues to work even when you dream. So, even though you are sleeping, you are dreaming, the mind still continuously work. Only in deep sleep does the mind rest. Means in the deep sleep, your mind also take rest. This is why when people wake up from slumber, they say Sukamaha Asvapsam. Sukamahama Swapsam. I slept very peaceful. Nakhimchim Ahamavedisham. I did not experience anything. So in the deep sleep you will experience these two. I slept very peacefully. I did not experience anything. During deep sleep the mind is at rest and you experience blissful peace. At all other times it stays active and create thoughts incessantly. We experience both happiness and distress because of the state of our mind. Let us say that someone is in a miserable mood. You tell her something that generates a happy thought in her and she smiles in glee. Next, presume another person is in a good mood. You convey some bad news to him which creates a miserable thought and he instantly grimaces in despair. Both the experience of glee and despair are results of the state of the mind. Learn to cultivate a cheerful mind and you will experience heavenly bliss even in the midst of the most hellish circumstances. On the other hand, if you harbor a miserable mind, you will suffer the torments of hell even if you are surrounded by heavenly luxury. British poet and philosopher John Milton described this perfectly in Paradise Lost. The mind is a place of its own and in itself can make heaven out of hell and hell out of heaven. So, mind is a place of what you make out of it. We dissipate a large portion of our energy in combating external enemies whom we perceive as potentially harmful to us. But the Vedic scripture says the biggest foes, such as lust, anger, greed, envy, and illusion, reside in our own mind. These internal adversaries are even more pernicious than the outer ones. External opponents may injure us for a small while, but the demons within us have the ability to make every moment a living hell. Let us take an example. For an example, when our mind harbors animosity, the negative thoughts generated do more damage than the object of our hatred. Hence, it has been wisely said resentment is like drinking poison and hoping that the other person dies. The poison referred to is the negativity we harbor within. Let us listen from the beautiful story of the Buddha. The Buddha expressed this truth vividly. I have been insulted, I have been hurt, I have been beaten, I have been robbed. Misery does not cease in those who harbor such thoughts. I have been insulted, I have been hurt, I have been beaten, I have been robbed. Anger ceases in those who do not harbor such thoughts. Said in the book Dhammapada 1.3. If someone accidentally throws a stone at us, it may hurt for a few minutes, but by the next day we would probably have forgotten about it. However, if someone says, something unpleasant. It can agitate us for years. On the other hand, if we can get rid of such thoughts, we will experience sublime peace. Given the role of thoughts in bestowing hellish misery or celestial joy, it becomes important that we understand their power. Let us move on to the next topic, the nature of thoughts. What are thoughts? They are subtle bundles of energy created in the factory of the mind. The atmosphere around us is full of energy waves that are invisible to the naked eye. If we take a radio set and rotate the channel tuner, broadcasting stations appear in quick succession to reveal their existence. Radio waves are there, though we cannot see them. Similarly, thoughts too are subtle waves generated by the mind. Our thoughts impact us in multiple ways. Our body reacts to every thought we have, literally, even chiseling our physical appearance. This is why we look at someone and remark, "Stay away from him. He seems to be very angry guy." Or we look at some another person and say, "She seems like a very simple person. We can rely on her." In either case, the thoughts within sculpted the person's external looks. Secondly, thoughts fructify or fructify into actions. They are the internal roots from which all actions spring on. This is based on the simple principle: good thoughts fructify into good actions, and bad thoughts fructify into bad actions. Those who dedicate their lives to the service of humankind do not land there by accident. For years, they cultivated compassionate and noble thoughts in their mind until the energy of those accumulated thoughts blossomed into inspiring acts of sacrifice and service. Similarly, those who commit theft and murder naively blamed circumstances for their sins. If we were to delve deeper, we would discover that they harbored sinful thoughts in their mind and circumstances literally aligned themselves to fulfill their desires. If we wish to draw more favorable circumstances in our life, let's begin by improving our thoughts. Without understanding this cause and effect relationship, we put the cart before the horse when we struggle to discard bad actions from our personality without changing the underlying thoughts. Like diligent horticulturists, we must carefully weed out all kinds of negative thoughts that sprout, such as anger, greed, hatred, envy, illusion, fear, and anxiety, from the orchard of our mind. When we strive to improve the state of our mind, we then realize the import of the Vedic injunction, which is taken from the Panchadashi, Manayeva Manushyanam Karanam Bandha Mokshayoho. Manayeva Manushyanam Karanam Bandha Mokshayoho. The mind is the cause of bondage and the mind is the cause of liberation. Let us listen from the story of the Buddha again. The Buddha stated the same principle in different words. Suffering follows an evil thought as the wheels of a cart follows the oxen that draws it. Joy follows a pure thought like a shadow that never leaves. Said in Dhammapada 1.1. The level of our consciousness is tied to our mind. Veritably, we are what our mind is. This is why the wise sages said, Bhula na jana isa nuske kho, लाभ अनेक उठा होगे, जैसा मना को बना सकोगे वैसे ही बना जाओगे, जैसा मना को बना सकोगे वैसे ही बना जाओगे. Do not forget these golden words. Bhula na jana issa nuske ko. Do not forget these golden words. लाभ अनेक उठा होगो लाभ अनेक उठा होगे you will derive great benefit from them जैसा मना को बना सकोगे the extent to which you uplift your mind वैसा ही बन जाओगे so your soul will be uplifted accordingly in the same way the extent to which you degrade your mind so your soul will be degraded accordingly. Let us move on to the next concept, the mind and body connection. We have seen how thoughts impact both our physical appearance and our actions. You may be surprised to learn that thoughts even impact our health. The Yoga Vasishta, an ancient scripture, tells a revealing story about the mind and body connection. Lord Rama once undertook a tour of his kingdom. You know about Rama, right? So, Lord Rama, king, he undertook a tour of his kingdom to personally observe the condition of his people like Buddha also did. He was dismayed to see them suffering from disease. Returning to his palace, he asked his preceptor, his guru, Maharshi Vasishta, like Rama asked his guru, Vasishta Maharshi, Guruji, what is the cause of disease? This is the question asked by Rama. Guruji, what is the cause of disease? Then Guru Vasishtha replied to him, Rama, disease begins in the mind. Disease begins in the mind. When we harbor poisonous thoughts, the Manomaya Kosh, the mental sheath, gets disturbed. This agitates the Pranamaya Kosh, vital energy sheath. That disturbance manifests in the Annamaya Kosh, the physical body, as a disease. So, first it will start from mental protective layer and mental layer to energy layer and then energy layer to physical body. So Manomaya, Pranamaya, Annamaya. This is of course a very simplistic explanation for we all know that diseases can have innumerable causes. Ayurveda too talks of two kinds of diseases. There are two kinds of diseases. One is doshaja, second one is karmaja. Doshaja diseases are reactions to bad karmas or actions from our past lives, while karmaja diseases are a consequence of defective habits of eating, sleeping, thinking, working, etc. in the present life. So, if you have any previous karmas in your past life, those result in dosha diseases, and whatever you are doing right now, whatever the bad habits you are exposing right now, will be turned into karmaja diseases. In the last few decades, modern medical science has begun acknowledging the mind body connection. A powerful example of this is the placebo effect. A placebo is a harmless substance like a sugar pill given to the patients instead of prescription of drugs. However, patients are told that they are being given medicine for their ailment. The consequence of consuming the placebo is that patients mentally believe they will now get well, and their thoughts induce them to recuperate even without taking actual medicine. One such study on the use of placebos was conducted by Dr. Stewart Wolf in the 1950s. Dr. Wolf conducted research on pregnant women who have a normal tendency to vomit in the first few months of pregnancy. When they would complain to Dr. Wolf of symptoms of vomiting, he would give them the IPSAC. IPSAC, a drug that induces vomiting. IPSAC is often kept in laboratories as a safeguard. If anyone accidentally swallows poison and need to vomit out, if someone is swallowed the poison and need to vomit it out, IPSAC is administered to induce the vomit. When Dr. Wolf administered the drug to the pregnant woman as expected, the symptoms of vomiting were exacerbated. He would then tell them, do not worry, I have a wonder drug that has just been launched. It has been tested on thousands of patients and found to bring about miraculous suppression of the vomiting tendency. I will administer it to you now. Then he would give them the same IP sac that had earlier aggravated their urge to vomit. But this time, the symptoms of vomiting would disappear for the night. The next morning, the tendency to vomit would again return. What was the reason for the cure? Even though it was the very drug that induces vomiting, same drug, it was the placebo effect. The patient's mind told them that they would feel better, that they should feel better, and their bodies responded to their thoughts. Placebo effect can sometimes have a demeaning connotation and is often not well received by patients. If you tell people they got cured by the placebo effect, they are likely to say, "You mean it was all in my mind?" As a result, Herbert Benson and Richard Friedman coined the term remembered wellness. It is the phenomenon in which the subconscious mind remembers the state of wellness and replicates it in the present. The phenomena of remembered wellness commonly occurs when patients visit their family physician. The doctor says, "Show me your symptoms," and patients find that their symptoms have disappeared. The mere fact that they are meeting the doctor tells their subconscious mind that they will now get well. Consequently, remembered wellness takes place and healing occurs. The reverse of this is remembered illness, a common example of which is white collar hypertension. Patients may have perfect blood pressure at home, but when they visit the doctor, they find it has increased high BP. What is the reason for this? In their minds, they think that since they are visiting the hospital, they must be unwell. They recall a previous state of illness and the body responds to their thoughts by increasing the blood pressure. This is a perfect example of the mind making the body sick. These examples demonstrate how illness is caused not only by viruses and bacteria but also by the negativities the mind harbors. Thus, mere physical cure of a medical condition is not enough. True health requires managing the mind along with taking care of the body. In fact, the World Health Organization defines health as what is health as the state of complete physical, mental, and social well being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. So, what is health means? It is a state of the complete physical, mental, and social well being. Unfortunately, in the commotion of life, we often put mind management on the back seat while we passionately pursue external success, not realizing that inner victories are the real basis for our outer accomplishments. Let us, therefore, gain a better perspective on what goes on within us. Let us dig deeper in the next topic, the inner and outer worlds. The world we encounter is of two kinds. The first is the external world made of earth, water, fire, air, and space. Since it is created by God, the architect, master architect and the designer, it is perfect, just like him. The Vedas go to the extent of saying that God Himself becomes the world. यथोर्न नाभिः सृजते गृह्णते च यथा पृथिव्यम् ओषधयः सम्भवन्ति यथा शतः पुरुषत् केशलोमनि ततक्षरात् सम्भवित विश्वम, said by Mundakopanishad 1.1.7. As the spider extracts its web form from its own body and reabsorbs, like the Spider Man, right? Reabsorbs it later. Similarly, at the time of creation, God too manifests the world from within his own being, and then absorbs it back into himself at the time of dissolution. Like, remember the Spider-Man and spider, how it creates its own body and how it destroys its own body. In other words, the world is an inseparable part of God. Again, the Vedas state like this: Ishavasyam idam sarvam yatkinchat jagatyam jagat. Said in the Ishavasya Upanishad, first verse: Ishavasyam idam sarvam jagat yatkincha jagatyam jagat. The entire world and everything in it is the veritable form of God. Ishavasyam idam sarvam, the entire world, yatkincha jagatyam jagat, and everything in it is the veritable form of God. Since the Creator is perfect and complete, the world is also perfect and complete. This external world was created to sustain the physical body. Apart from the gross external world, there is also a subtle inner world that each of us creates in our own mind. This is the realm of our desires, attachments, and aversions due to our samskaras, our accumulated tendencies of endless lifetimes. While the external world is the same for all, everyone's inner world is different and unique. This is the magic, this is the special. Between these two worlds, the inner world is far more compelling. Agitation by physical objects is possible only as long as desires for them are present in the mind. If these desires are vanquished from within, then external objects no longer hold sway over us. In the Ramayana, Lord Rama said of his younger brother Bharata, Bharatahi hoyi na Rajamadhu Bidhihari Harapadapayi. What to speak of becoming proud by ascending the throne of Ayodhya? Bharat can never develop pride even if he ascends the throne of Brahma, Shankara, and Vishnu. The reason for Ram's confidence in the infallibility of Bharata was that his inner world was clean and pure. Bharata had reached a state where his mind was free from the everyday material sentiments of anger, desire, jealousy, greed, and lust. As a result, he could never be swayed by the lure of power in the outer world. Lord Shiva emphasized the same maxim. Uma je Ramacharana Rata Vigata Kama Madha Krodha ನಿಜ ಪ್ರಭುಮಯ ದೇಕಹೀನ ಜಗತ ಕೇಹಿ ಸನಕರಹಿನ್ ಭಿರೋದ, said in the Ramayana. O Parvati, those noble souls who free themselves from desire, pride, and anger see the world as the form of their beloved Lord, towards whom can they be inimical. Hence, all saints who succeeded in purifying their thoughts, their inner world, experienced the external world as the veritable form of the God. Thus, the situations in the external world cannot be the cause of our strife. Rather, it is the other way around. Inner thoughts bring external circumstances onto us, as will be explained in the next section. We'll see the next section in the next episode. Until then, just revise what we have learned, share in the comments.